This government, the Patriotic Front government, must take what is happening on the Copper Belt as an emergency. We have calculated that approximately 200,000 of our people in this province will soon be affected by these job losses. That includes the 7,725 jobs that in effect have already been lost and still counting. We're expecting another 875 jobs to be lost with Concola. And we do have extended people that are going to be affected, like contractors, who are also in the region of 8,000. Then those with families of average 6 in a family, the whole number spirals to almost 200,000 people that are going to be directly affected by these job losses in this province. The Movement for Multi-Party Democracy supports the ongoing case in Ndola High Court concerning the retrenched workers that have not been paid for many years, demonstrating to the Zambian people that these 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 miners that have been retrenched and yet to be retrenched are going to join a line of dying, disillusioned, abandoned former workers of the mines. We stand firmly in solidarity with these miners that are fighting for their basic existence, their rights, and also the money that rightly belongs to them. And we pray that this government can spend more time in this province and come to this funeral house, sit down with the affected people, and find the way forward to elevate the suffering of our people in this province. 16, passing the second reading in Parliament last week, Thursday, the 26th of November 2015. On behalf of the MMD, I wish to clearly explain our position so that the nation is fully aware of the reasons why we supported the bill. I also wish to address some unfounded allegations from some quarters that are misrepresenting our position. Before I delve into the matter at hand, I firstly wish to congratulate our members of Parliament for helping attain the 2/3 majority vote in the House. The debate has now been opened up so we can finally make some measure of progress in this constitutional process. Getting into the matter at hand, I wish to reiterate our position, which has been consistent by referring to what 2 of our honourable members of Parliament stated on the floor of the House during the debate last week, namely Chamber Member of Parliament and MMD National Secretary, Honourable Mwansambula Kulima, and Chipata Central Member of Parliament and MMD Parliamentary Whip, Honourable Mutolo Piri. In summary, we as the MMD support the bill of the Constitution because it is the most practical method with a higher probability of success and is also the least expensive in this process. We would have loved to have the entire document presented to be enacted, but are constrained by provisions relating to the Bill of Rights, which can only be amended by a referendum. We are of the opinion that subjecting the entire document to a referendum carries the risk of failure for the entire process if the final document is voted against, or if voter turnout does not meet the stipulated legal requirements, constitutional requirements, such as 50% of the eligible voters participating in the vote. It is said from certain areas of Zambia that a bird in hand is worth 2 in the bush. The draft constitution contains several progressive clauses which, if enacted, shall be a huge positive boost to governance, politics, and economy. These clauses are a must, and we are calling them the MMD red button issues. We shall not compromise on them. Number 1, 50% plus 1 electoral system which ensures that we shall have a majority president, unlike the current system, where a candidate can become president even with 10% of the vote, as long as he or she has the highest vote. 2, presidential running mate clause, to prevent a by-election in case the sitting president is no longer able to continue in office. It is important for this bill to clarify explicitly what happens if the running mate, who was vice president, also has to leave office while completing the term of his predecessor, and the mechanism of selection of the vice president in these kinds of scenarios. We have already gone through 2 costly presidential by-elections in 2008 and 2015 at huge cost. This could have been avoided with the running mate clause in place. Thirdly, dual citizenship for Zambians to make it easier for those in the diaspora to invest back home. Number 4, strengthening of the Auditor General's office to effect prosecutions of erring civil servants. Number 5, mandatory national debt contraction through Parliament to prevent the current situation where Cabinet can just borrow anyhow and leave future generations in perpetual debt. Number 6, the Supplementary Appropriation Act to prevent government spending money that has not been approved by Parliament. Number 7, preventing parliamentary defectors from contesting seats for life of that Parliament. This shall eliminate costly and necessary by-elections. Ladies and gentlemen, colossal sums of money have been spent on Constitutional Review Commission since 1972, and we are still going round in circles without any conclusion of this matter. I believe we should stop this now and move the Zambian people forward. We shall not abrogate our responsibility to defend and speak on behalf of Zambians through MMD elected members of Parliament. NGOs and all other interest groups must learn to respect the opinions of others without resorting to mudslinging and character assassinations. Just because we support the Constitution Bill does not mean we have been bought by the PF, as some NGs are insinuating. I received another twist this morning to the speculation that is going on as to why we took this stand. Someone called this morning asking as to whether our support for the bill has come in exchange for the vehicles that have been released to the movement for multi-party democracy. And I think that is extremely saddening and cheap to have people thinking that a moral position, as the one taken by MMD, can be compromised by a swap. There's no need for a swap. Those vehicles belong to MMD, and the DPP has found that there's no criminal case that should warrant those vehicles being denied us. And it was a purely legal decision that has been made because those vehicles were held, and the holding of those vehicles was not based on any legal provision from our constitution or law. We are not supporting the PF on this bill. We are supporting our own position, and we are very proud to take this position, which has been consistent for more than 3 years. And I think that anyone who suggests anything else, that we are doing this on behalf of another party, does not understand the maturity and the experience of the movement for multi-party democracy in matters of governance. Important concerns were raised by MMD Nalikwanda MP Honorable Professor Geoffrey Lungwangwa on the possibility of the PF mutilating the Constitution or diluting it through unauthorized amendments. As stated by our whip Honorable Piri, we as MMD shall not tolerate any of that, and we reserve the right to press what we are calling the MMD reject or eject button. This is another warning to Patriotic Front that if there are any manipulations or machinations, or if any strange ghosts appear from the PF, we shall immediately withdraw our support for this bill. Yeah. We are only here because the promise that the Constitution shall be enacted with the aforementioned progressive clauses. I also wish to clarify that despite statements to the contrary, The failure of the last constitution bill in the House was due to the Patriotic Front and UPND, who both defeated the bill. The PF was by walking out because a vote was taken, and the UPND by going to Parliament but abstaining from voting. This shall not be allowed to repeat itself now that we're in the opposition, and that is why we support this bill. We are only interested in the end result and not these pointless debates. The initiators of this process, through the National Constitutional Conference, under late President Levin Wanawasa, and the current document being debated is the product of the NCC. We want to see this whole process through to completion, and we shall not abandon it halfway, the way the UPND did by collecting the allowances from the NCC but abstaining from voting in the end. How can we reject the process we started ourselves by depending on speculations about the intentions of the Patriotic Front, who are merely completing a process we started? If they have any plans to the contrary, we hold the key as MMD to abandon this bill. And if we abandon this bill as MMD, the bill will not attain 2/3 majority to be adopted. And therefore, we understand our role in this bill. We understand the place of MMD as a deciding factor in as far as moving this bill forward is concerned. Having said that, I wish to take this opportunity to thank all of you for coming, and this is our position on this issue of the Constitution bill that is now before Parliament. I thank you, and God bless you.